Hey friends! Are you a happy person who wants to become depressed? Tired of warm, sandy beaches, wanting to explore the vast, empty fields of the poles? Or do you want to experience suffering? Well, let me introduce Frostpunk, a city-building strategy game that explores the question about management and morality in the events of a catastrophic winter. In this case, imagine how the dinosaurs were wiped out. Except now, it was our turn to be familiar with such event. But instead of an asteroid smashing through the atmosphere, it was merely several volcanoes and industrial engineering producing enough gas and dust to blot out solar radiation, cooling the entire world. This was not good. As a last-ditch effort to save their people, the British made these massive dreadnoughts and evacuated to the north as the south gets ravaged by an extreme case of climate change. Up to the north exist the heat generators to sustain life and build civilization. What kind of civilization is up to you. Welcome to the city. It's cold. Very cold. So, you start scraping supplies and hope for the best. You have plenty of resources to gather, and each of them can be dependent to one another. The most important thing to do is maintain your generator, as it produces the heat to prevent cold-related diseases and frostbites. Not only that, but it also powers advanced technologies you can unlock later. But for now, survival is priority. Follow Maslow's hierarchy of needs, and you'll end up satisfying everybody. Build houses, cook food, and provide healthcare. However, the inefficiency of your workforce and the overall lack of options will inevitably produce a gaping resource deficiency. As the leader of a struggling society, you can make hard decisions and enact laws. Your people are hungry. There's not enough food. So, let's eat some wood chips and get dermatitis, which will get treated by our engineers. We're not producing enough coal. Let's enforce child labor. Now, we have enough manpower as they happily strut away to their newfound life purpose. Need more time? Extended shifts. Not enough engineers to fix people? Overcrowded medical posts. Limbs not working? Let's cut them off. All of it for the sake of coping through these harsh times. Hope and discontent will change, and people will respond accordingly. Their lives will ultimately depend on your superior intellectual decisions. Shorter ships? Nice try. New survivors? More workers. Protests in the streets? Let's beat them up. Extra food? Let's circulate some. Eventually, the cold will be much more brutal. Tents are freezing. Frostbites are imminent. In the race against nature, technology is the answer. Spend countless hours inventing technologies. Unlock steam hubs to expand the reach of your generators. Unlock a beacon and traverse the outside world. Recruit people and turn them into unnerving, omnipotent flying demigods. Beings that will help you discover various locations, escort hordes of helpless survivors, and carry around a city's worth of resources. With only a few weaknesses, such as electric towers and polar bears. They can also discover outposts for delivering fat stacks of loot, and depression once they arrive at Winterhome. The news of loneliness consumes them, and all hope is lost. Things must be put into order. Choose between two distinct paths for the city. Prevent people from leaving by providing security, morning routines, and enforcing administration. Imprison insurgents and demonstrate direction. Or encourage prayers for God, Build multiple churches. Send the graces of hope to the common folk. Feed them food. Build some shrines. Perform holy marches and believe in salvation. Everything will be put into place. But try to go too deep and radical with your actions, and you might end up in a place of no return. Unless that's how you want it. Frostpunk gives you that constant pressure against all odds. You might feel safe, but you're never safe. You build giant automatons. Those same automatons can crush some child's legs. You build a stable food source and healthcare. An influx of refugees will come crashing in. And it all comes down to one final showdown with nature. By the end of it, you'll see just how good you did throughout your whole campaign. One thing I cannot stress enough is how creative and beautiful this game is. You can select an individual and find out that most of them are alone in the world. If they're idle, they mingle and stand near the generator. The game has a lot of these individual animations. They will cut wood, go to church, march like a cult, or even gather supplies. They also simulated environmental effects, such as snowdrift and snowfall. Under intense storm, light pillars would even appear. Flying airships with different designs. Automatons picking up scattered coal, or them sucking up the warmth of a generator. We also have UI effects like towing, ink splatter, and mist. And not to forget, the sound effects to generate that steampunk ambience. For me, I just like staring at my city in the midst of an all-consuming snowstorm. If you get bored of the main story, you can also try several different scenarios. One such scenario is about taking in as much people as possible and fixing the relations between commoners and nobles. Good luck stabilizing their needs. Another scenario is about protecting seeds and entrusting yourselves into the feet of these Goliaths. Fight your fellow engineers as you try to save another city from the Great Frost. The Fall of Winterhome is such a hard scenario. You must fix yourselves on short notice and recognize how deep in trouble you guys are. Saving everyone will utterly fail as the result of incompetence and bad luck. At the start, you're left with such horrendous urban architecture and a series of damaged structures. So, you try remaking the whole city to its intended glory, only to find out that your core is kinda defective, and this is where all hard work comes crashing down. I also bought additional expansion called The Last Autumn. Everything is very different. There is no snow, only the sweat and tears coming from an average British working on a volatile construction site. Surprisingly, almost all of them are very much lonesome. Coal is not used for the generator. Instead, it was used for the bathhouse. People can sleep in the streets now without dying because it's warm enough. Gather food, not with flying airships, but surprisingly with nets, exploring the local wildlife and picking up berries. It was very nice to see some animated wildlife finally and the movements of the waves. This scenario is about building a generator for other people. New technologies are added, encounter various special building operations and slight hindrances. Stop them by enacting laws. But this time, the laws is not about uniting the people, it's about dividing them and setting the bar for discrimination. Enough knowledge dictates that scenarios will be quite easier. At this point, try a couple of challenges to spice things up. Build no homes and survive through the streets. Care for animals and convert to veganism. Mining is overrated. Let's begin deforestation in the icebergs. Test the waters and up the challenge. Start the game on hard or extreme. Gathering supplies is downright harder. People are prone to death, and every little reckless decision can lead to a series of dreadful conditions. Regardless, the real achievement is a run that's deathless, unified, full of heroism, industrialization, and a completely benevolent regime. Create your own city through Endless Mode. Design your own frozen paradise and explore the Frostlands. Survive the next storm. And do it all over again? Collect relics on your travels. Rinse and repeat until boredom hits. There are 3 scenarios in Endless Mode, but they're more or less the same. Frostpunk is a chilling statement about human survival, teaching us that in the event of a major catastrophe, humanity and morality can easily be led astray if left unchecked behind prioritization of self-preservation. It's a game where pressure comes from negative temperatures, and decisions reflect on whether you look at people as numbers or individuals. Highly recommended. Negative 30 degrees over 700 people. I wonder what happened to them over the insane jump of temperature. Play it, enjoy it.